steady progress every single day, like a commitment to getting better, a commitment to, I said it a few times, to being open-minded and self-aware and adaptable. And these are all like little steps you take just to kind of becoming the best version of yourself, I guess in life in general, but definitely, relates right down to trading as well too.
Hello everybody, this is Anthony for Investors Underground. In this episode, I have the opportunity to speak with a seasoned trader who began working in the corn futures pit during college. He went on to work for one of Chicago's largest prop firms before transitioning to trade options for himself. Most recently, he was crowned the Traders4ACause 2023 Poker Champion. It's my pleasure to introduce Jeremy Aguiar. Hello, Jeremy. Thank you for being here and taking the time to speak with me today.
Of course. Hi, Anthony. Thank you for having me. This is a first of its kind for me, so I'm excited and nervous at the same time, but just excited to talk trading with you.
Awesome, and it's an honor to have you. I know we got a chance to meet at Traders4ACause in Chicago in 2023, and then again in Vegas in 2023, where you won the poker tournament. So it's great to connect with you again, and get to chat a little bit more about you and let everybody else out there, the listeners, learn about you and your trading career.
Yeah, I'm excited for the opportunity.
How did you first get interested in the stock market and trading? What led you down this path into your career as a trader?
Yeah, of course. I think for myself, it was a little bit later in life than probably the average guy who's starting to trade for himself these days. Really, my first job working on the floor of the Chicago Board of Trade was really my first introduction to it. That was during summers in college. And I also played a lot of poker in college. And, as I was going through the process of deciding what I would do with my career and job, like the obvious similarities and synergies between poker and trading, they stood out to me. The ability to, having a 9-to-5 normal salary job didn't really interest me very much. And, that ability to walk into work every day with, a limited potential for yourself, maybe a little more onus on yourself and personal responsibility to where your success goes and the competition behind it really stood out to me. And that's, really where my interest peaked.
Were you playing poker in college as well?
Yeah, I mean, that was once, man, the room, I think Poker Stars was a big website, Poker Room. It was that was 2004, 5, 6-ish area, and that was, I think, the heyday of online poker probably. So myself and everybody else I knew in college was doing it, but it's something I really enjoyed and I got pretty good at too.
And so in college, were you studying finance, and were you sort of interested in going into the world of finance, or how did you discover, the opportunity to work, in the corn futures pit?
Of course, well, I was studying finance. The job on the floor of the Board of Trade kind of came through a happenstance of a mutual friend of mine and just needing summer work, to be honest. I clerked, so you did the dirty work, you did the job that, the no thanks job. Like you do your job properly. It's good. If you mess up, they know very clearly that you messed up. But it was just like the energy around it and the competition behind it really made me interested in it all. And then I had a finance degree and going through the normal process of looking at the type of jobs that I was interested in, and trading definitely stood out to me.
And so what was that initial experience like for you? And what were some of the things that you learned from that internship that, were you able to apply some of that later on as you went through your career trading?
Yeah, to be honest, not too much from that floor work. It was so different than what my eventual career type of trading was, but it was enough that it got me interested in the business itself. And then, okay, hey, let me find, a career path that works for me inside of this.
After you graduated, what came next?
So that was when I started my job with the prop firm in Chicago. Super excited when that happened. And, those jobs are not too easy to get as they are, and they're few and far between. And starting to work where I did was just kind of step one in the process. You were continually interviewing and being educated at the same time, by some of the best traders in Chicago, which was an awesome opportunity, and also a challenge at the same time as well.
Was that your first experience putting on trades for yourself during the
100,
prep days?
100%, yeah.
And what were some of those first trades like for you? And even before that, what was the educational component to trading at the prop firm like? Were you getting some insight as to what strategies you might want to employ and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, the education started on really teaching you about options from the very beginning and the very basics. So reading Natenberg, which anyone's ever read before, is like the driest book in all the world, but it's understanding the mechanics of options. Then you would go through mock trading experiences. You would sit with experienced traders and watch them trade and try to learn through them. And that whole process was on top of education, was kind of also still interviewing you to, for them to ever give you the opportunity to actually use their capital and to trade with it. First trades, like not exact trades, but I started summer of 2008. Oil was going crazy, so I remember just the volatility in oil, and then obviously that kind of went into the fall, financial crisis, banks, financials, and just starting my career trading in one of the craziest times of the markets that we've ever seen was something else. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, you were definitely trading at a very interesting time during the financial crisis for sure. Were there any particular lessons about trading that you learned very quickly when you started trading for yourself and making your own types of trades at the firm?
Yeah, there were a lot, and I'd say mainly for that time period specifically to be open-minded, to be flexible. I mean, to not fight a trend. Number one. I mean, that was a period that we traded volatility where I was at, and a period of time where volatility obviously went berserk, and you have new traders who don't have any sort of preconceived notion on where things should trade, and we're watching from a volatility perspective things just trend directly up. So in our eyes, this was pretty clear. Okay, this trend's going this way, trades are going this way. I'm going to follow it. I'm going to make this work. Where you have extremely experienced and great traders who've been around for a while and are used to. We'll use some banks for example, like a Bank of America trading at extremely low volatilities their entire life, their whole career. And, this is now going to exponential levels that they can never have guessed, what happened. And that might be a little bit more difficult for somebody to have what you think about something forever and for it to change so quickly. So we were kind of at like an unfair advantage first starting off in that environment because we had no notion to it. So it kind of made me realize if you could look back, even on a day-to-day basis trading, forget what you know already. Like things change quickly. You have to be open-minded. You have to be able to adapt, and just having that flexibility of mindset to be extremely objective about what's in front of you is extremely helpful and necessary in this business.
What was that experience like trading with actual traders in person on the floor? I can imagine a lot of traders who might be listening trade just by themselves. Maybe they're in a chat room, but they have a completely different experience. So, what was that like for you? Were there certain benefits, do you believe, that you had access to?
Yeah, I mean, there's huge benefits. I'd say it's the number one thing that I miss. I've been now working for myself close to 8 years at this point, and that was a slow transition to the point where I am at home every day working by myself. That camaraderie and just the ability to easily communicate with the group that you're working with, who has similar goals and mindsets and everything, just working as a team. That part's really cool, and I will say it's the number one thing that I miss about currently working for myself. And to be honest, that's a huge reason why and how I found Traders for a Cause and Investors Underground, and I've joined every chat room website that exists, and it's really just to look for that that relationship part of this business again. When you're sitting and working for yourself every single day, like you can get narrowly minded in what you're looking at and what you're trading, and it's really important to somehow have a way to communicate and have a group of people that you could trade with, or you could bounce ideas off of, or you could talk when you had you had a shitty work day or things aren't going great or vice versa. It's important to have those people. So that inside of a firm aspect is awesome. And I do miss that. And as traders who do work for themselves, it's really important to get out there and network and make sure you're not just by yourself all the time.
Were there any other upsides to being in the prop firm that you think maybe retail traders can learn from or benefit if they're able to sort of emulate that or incorporate that?
It's a hard one to emulate. I mean, the benefits again are just how much you can learn. You're surrounded by 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 really good traders. Like it's easy to learn a lot. And as long as you're open minded and you want to learn and you're there for that, I mean, that part's great. So the only, I guess, part that I think you could try to emulate is again, just put yourself out there as much as possible and use the resources that are available online to keep learning. I mean, honestly, for Traders for a Cause stuff, like the events are awesome. It's great to meet people. It can be somewhat overwhelming. You have a room of a couple hundred people. You don't know who trades your style, who you can learn from. But getting introduced to like so many different resources at these events is key. Like getting, Lance's videos, I absolutely love. Like Brian Lee's stuff is amazing. We were just talking about Nate and his this last year, his New Year's resolution talk or goals for next year. Like that's amazing stuff. And without attending any of these events, like I wouldn't know who these people are. I wouldn't have been introduced to that stuff. So yes, build relationships and have that one-on-one stuff, but also like take advantage of all the like amazing content that people are putting out there. That's the closest thing you're going to get to sitting next to a group of guys and trading with them every day.
For those listening who might think that trading at a prop firm is just good times and profits every day, were there any potential drawbacks or things that people might not know about prop firms, that sort of
Definitely. I mean,
balance out?
there's for sure. I mean, everything that some people get into trading for, the prop firms could be the opposite. I mean, there's a corporate culture to them. There's can be that play the company game type stuff, and you get down to it. I mean, I've met awesome people, and there were great people there, but you're still somewhat of a commodity. When things aren't going great, you don't have the flexibility and the time to kind of work through things. You really are, a number on a bottom line at some point. So great places to learn from, great places to network and to meet people. But the amount of people that I know who had extreme, longevity inside of one firm themselves, it's pretty rare.
What was your trading style like when you first started trading? And how has that evolved over the years to where you are now?
Well, the prop firm style was much different. That was large portfolio management, volatility, arbitrage, they call it, even though there's nothing arbitrage about it. Um, Transitioned to actually working for a market maker for a long time, which helped me really understand options from in a much different perspective than I had previously. Then to very small scalping, trying to make both sides of markets with scalping nickels and just taking small money out of the market to kind of where I'm now, and I'm solely day trading, and I focus on, I'll say, news events, stocks that are in play that morning for XYZ reason, unusual options activity, and then theme trades. And I'd say for the last year or so in that category, the theme trade has definitely stood out to me the most. And for example, say this last week, all the semiconductor names were very strong, and Nvidia kind of leads that. But then you get a bucket of names that are kind of moving together. So you have a lot more data points to help base your intraday trading decisions when you have an entire sector of names that are somewhat moving together. That could happen. You get crypto in the last couple weeks. Last year's biggest theme I think was probably the banks and the regional banks, like in March time period, and it's recognizing those themes, catching the trend, and again using the bucket of data points to really help your confidence in the trades that you're making. First, the one-off news trade, there's just less information for you to kind of help you through that trade.
Are there any particular tools, scanners, or technical indicators that you use that help you make your trades or help you find potential trades that you might take?
Yeah, in that category, it's a mix of a lot of different stuff that I use. I mean, there's plenty of news sources that I'm trying to gather and get quick information on. Again, the Investors Underground tools are amazing for quick stock movements, what's moving. Even like the chat rooms inside are great. But I think everyone's kind of got to find what works for them to kind of feed you that information, and then you make your trades through that.
And where do you tend to find the most edge in the markets in the past couple years? What's been working for you?
Yeah. Well, they change quickly, and I think that's why like the adaptability of this game is so important. Um, I mean, you can go back in 2020 and 21, and you throw a dart at the wall, and you're probably gonna make money with something you're trading. I mean, things are going haywire, they're going nuts, um, and that changes and changes quickly. And I think that's why a lot of people struggled in 2022 a lot because you saw this one trade working like crazy for a year and a half, 2 years, and it stops. And you need to be quick to recognize when that does change and that does stop. Like I said, for the last year or so, the trades that I've been able to personally have the most confidence in are theme-based trades. It's finding buckets of stocks and just newsy, like obviously everything around the Bitcoin ETF in the last 2 weeks, and the Maras and riots coin are moving like crazy. And okay, this stuff's hot right now. It's moving in bunches. The more names moving together give me a little bit more data and information on it. And even something, like the Bitcoin trades are really helpful because you have individual stocks that are moving a theme while you also have kind of the underlying derivative that's helping it move in Bitcoin. And it gives you, I keep saying the word data points, but it's more information to help make your and base your decisions on. The news trades have been a little bit more difficult for the last year or so, and that was my bread and butter for quite a period of time. So same thing, it's recognizing when things are trading a little bit different for whatever reason, and recognizing the new theme and trend. And again, the trends in this last year, they come and go a lot quicker. Like in 21, 22, or 2021, they came in and they stuck for like weeks at a time. That was there. You have to be really, really quick these days to get on that 3 or 4 day trend or pocket of stocks that's hot and be ready to cut that off when it's done.
Is there a particular time of the day where you're most active, or are you trading throughout the day from market open to close?
There's times I actually do track my trades in three time periods: 8:30 to 9 o'clock, 9. I'm speaking Central Time. 8:30 to 9, 9 to 12, and 12 to 3. That first half hour being very active, but being very volatile, and you can't catch trends in that time period. It's action's a lot more whippy, and you have to be careful of the certain type of trades you're willing to take in that first half hour. When you get a trade, you take it. Like you're not expecting something to move in your direction and run the entire day. Then that 9 to 12 is when things kind of settle in a little bit more, and you could find what's trending today, what stocks are holding up, like what's not holding up, where might there be good opportunities to kind of piece through your trade. So I think that 9 to 12, and maybe not all the way to 12, that might be pushing it, 9 to more like 11ish, bread and butter time as far as like having good setups. And then the afternoon it can get slow, and you have to know to certain types of trades. Again, you can't force when there's not much movement and not much action and not much volume in that time period. But being a reactionary trader, you still got to be there because that's when you get the one news event that hits. Like Spirit Airlines was an example just today. You dipped 30-40% and pretty much came right back. That comes out of nowhere. Like you don't know when that's going to happen. So you have to be alert and prepared, and while also not FOMOing yourself into doing some trade just because you want to do something.
What is your routine for reviewing your trades? Are you still doing like write ups or anything like that after the market
Yeah,
closes?
yeah. I'm pretty religious on it. I do a few things. I track. If I have probably 30 to 40 different categories of trades that I say this was why I made this entry. I track those in the time of the day that I made them and the category. And then also because I trade options, if that option trades in pennies or nickels, it can be very different from a cost perspective and just one more kind of asset to look at. But every day those are tracked and in a good spreadsheet, so I can kind of see the themes and the trends, and I know what stuff's working for me, what's not working for me. And then yes, and I'll journal, and that the journaling always changes. You know, you want to do as much as possible, but you don't need to get granularly into every single trade. Like sometimes it's what's really, really working for me right now. Let me hone in on that. Like where am I making mistakes? Let me now hone in on that side. But yeah, journal every single day, and the journaling just it changes. But the part that stays the same no matter what is tracking every category of what I'm trading. So I do feel very strongly if you don't know why and where you're making or losing money, you're kind of fighting an uphill battle.
Do you have any advice for the traders who might be struggling in their trading and want to do better? Anything that you would recommend to them in order to, try to get themselves to the next level and be closer to where they want to be?
Of course. And there's a few things. I think the first one is to put on blinders and just like focus on yourself. If you're not doing great at the time, like get off Twitter, get off like the YouTube stars who, I made 100 grand in 6 minutes, like here's how, like that type of shit. Like that is a distraction. And if things aren't going great at the time, like it's also not great for your psyche or your mentality towards what you're doing. So you need to just focus on yourself and focus on your process more than anything else. Like you can't focus on, I mean, unfortunately, yes, you have to, you can't just lose money every day and keep trading, but like you have to like judge your performance on like, is my like day-to-day process, am I doing what I want to be doing? How can I make that process better? And just put blinders on and just focus on yourself.
Another question and topic that I wanted to touch on, Jeremy, was about growth mindset. And you and me got a chance to talk a little bit about this, before. But can you talk about some of the importance of having a growth mindset and how it's impacted you positively?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's meant everything for me as far as my career and my improvements gone. If there's ever times that, I'm struggling or things aren't going great, they didn't get better because I learned a new technical analysis like strategy for myself or I found this like new secret trade. Like it got better because I focused on myself and I worked on my process and I worked through those things. That like mindset has allowed me to, thrive when opportunities present themselves, and then I think also like survive when things are not going so well. I think that term growth mindset could be a little, I don't know, wordy these days. So like what that actually, means for me is just a commitment to yourself every day, just to be a little bit better, just to improve every day. Lance talks about it, that 1% better every day, and like the book Atomic Habits, which everyone always likes speaking about, like that stuff's super meaningful, and just steady progress every single day, like a commitment to getting better, a commitment to, I said it a few times, to being open-minded and self-aware and adaptable, and these are all like little steps you take just to kind of becoming the best version of yourself, I guess in life in general, but definitely, relates right down to trading as well too.
What are some ways that you've been able to implement a growth mindset for yourself, whether in your trading or beyond?
Yeah, I think it's just steady progress. Again, it's just that trying to do a little bit better every single day with what you're working on. And um, meditation is a good example for me. I had this like goal for the longest time where I wanted to meditate before work every day. Like everything I would read, and I've done like coaching work before. It's always like this is going to help you, with what you're doing. And I could never like get it done. I'd sit down either before work or after work, so I'm like it's not fitting with me. And when I finally got to the point, like just literally sit down for 30 seconds before the market opens and just close your eyes and do whatever meditation looks like for you. Just do it for 30 seconds. And you do that every day before work, and all of a sudden, a few weeks in, that feels like part of your routine. And you slowly get onto it. 30 seconds turns into a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, and it's kind of how you build habits. This can be hard when someone, you take that goal toward, and I did it for the longest time. Like I want to meditate for 10 minutes before work. You're not going to go from never meditating to just doing that. And you need to like take slow, progressive steps towards your goals of what you're working on. So accepting that things are also, you're just working on improvements. Like it's not perfection. Like I've been working on a handful of like my personal goals for work for 7 years. Like they're never going to be perfect, and you have to recognize that. And as long as you do, and then you know that when you have, you make mistakes or you have step backs, that because you're committed to improving those all the time, they're just learning experiences, and they're just part of a process for you, improving and becoming the best trader that you can be.
And what are some of the challenges that you've come across trying to implement a growth mindset?
Number one is trying to do too much at once, because that's a very easy way to get yourself frustrated and to say, man, like I have this goal and I keep trying, but I can't get there. Well, like you have to incrementally work yourself up to what you want to do. It's a really tough industry, a really tough business, and just being able to work through the stuff that's not going great for you, and taking it steps at a time, and realize that you're not going to be perfect at it, and as long as you're learning from your experiences and slowly moving towards your goals, they're going to be fine. But yeah, you have to recognize that. You have to recognize it's not perfection, and things aren't going to happen overnight.
And how important is it for traders to maintain a growth mindset, even if they're doing exceptionally well?
I think it's super important. And I actually look back again on 20 and 21 for that point. Like, if you feel like you're on cruise control for a period of time, like you'll get sloppy. You might lose your discipline. You might not journal your trades the same way that you always do if things kind of feel easy. But when that easy trade kind of goes away, like now you took, and this happened to me 100%, took me a lot longer to recognize the shift in market sentiment and how things were trading in 2022 than it probably needed to be if I wasn't on, a little bit of cruise control for how like the last 2 years have been. So it's super important, because that's when you could let your guard down and you could start, trading without discipline, or do, break rules that you wouldn't do otherwise. So it's almost, it's a very, very important time to continue your process. And then again, you work through that. And then the next time that things, the market does set up well for you, like you should be even better prepared for it the next time too.
Thank you. And I know you just spoke a little bit to this, but is there anything that you're currently working on to improve about your trading and sort of in keeping with this growth mindset?
Yeah, of course. So one of the things I've always been working on, I have two very strong risk management rules for myself. And logically, I could walk into a trading day and know that if I make 10 trades, I'm probably going to make money in five of those trades and lose money in five of those trades. It doesn't mean that like I walk in and if I lose money in my first trade, my second trade, that I don't have, I might get emotionally charged by that, or just, energetically not feel great. And there's two sides to that. One is, now I'm pretty self-aware, and I understand myself, and I know that. So if I feel myself getting, kind of upset and like, hey, now I want to double down on this trade, or I don't want to stick to my rules, like I know to like bring myself back and to, then go ahead and go through my process. Not perfect with it, but there's a second side of that. Then of also trying to understand myself better, understand, maybe why, even though I logically know that I'm gonna lose on half my trades every single day, why do I still let it upset me at times? And I'm working through that. I'm actually lucky enough to have started working with Kim Ann Curtin, who I also met at Traders for a Cause, and I'm extremely, extremely excited to start working with her on it for sure.
That's great. Kim Ann Curtin
Yeah.
is amazing. And I'm so glad that you got a chance to connect with her at Traders for a Cause and are going through some of her coaching, which is
Yeah,
great.
me too.
And I wanted to talk a little bit about networking because you and I got a chance to meet at Traders for a Cause, and I know you even won the poker tournament. So can you talk a little bit about what that experience has been like for you overall?
It's been great. Like I said, on top of the in-person meeting and building relationships that way, it's just opening your network to a vast amount of traders and people that you would not have known about otherwise. And it is hard in this world to be communicating on a daily basis with five people from the event or something like that. But there's so many people who put out so many amazing resources that I've met through that event, that's kind of where I feel I've gotten the most knowledge from, is just becoming aware of what's out there and who's out there, and in being able to take in their content and their information for how it works for me.
Do you believe that traders need to be really successful or have been trading for, almost a decade or more in order to attend the conference and have gained benefits from it? Or is it something that you think even newer traders can benefit from?
I think newer traders probably benefit the most from it, like 100%. I mean, I can't imagine, and I give mad respect to anybody who, like, I was able to get trained and educated by some of the best traders out there for 3, 4 years without going at there's people now who are working a side job and saying, hey, I'm going to quit this and I'm going to try to learn this myself. Like, mad respect for anybody who's attempting to do that and anyone who's able to be capable of doing that. So for them specifically, like, you need every resource that you possibly can get. So even if you're just thinking about, hey, I might want to start trading, or I've just started, like, I think there's probably the most benefit to those people.
That's a great point. And Traders for a Cause, just year after year, constantly has just great speakers with great presentations. And, you know, even those who've been trading for decades have mentioned just how much they're able to learn at Traders for a Cause and grow their connections and the number of people that, real life traders that they've met, that they stay in contact with. So, again, it's just such a great resources for traders.
Yeah, I love that. And I said for myself as an experienced guy too, like, it's had massive benefits. It's like a nice little refresh every year too. It's another kick of motivation. Like, man, there's some pretty amazing people in this industry and doing some awesome things, and it makes you want to do something awesome as well too.
Speaking of awesome, you did something awesome and won the poker tournament.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, if there's any similarities between poker and trading that you've been able to apply.
I mean, definitely. I mean, I said just the style of, like, what poker is and what it represents is what kind of got me interested in trading. Just that unlimited, upside potential on a daily basis. I love that part. They're obviously both probability based games. They're both, you know, right size bets, knowing when to risk manage, knowing when to fold, like a ton of similarities to that. And I'd say the one thing that trading actually has a huge advantage to versus poker is that you could sit for trading and you could see 10,000 hands in a day and you don't have to do anything. Like, you could literally sit there on your hands and you could wait for your A plus setup. No one's forcing you to do anything. You don't have to pay a fee to sit and watch and just wait for your opportunities. And, like, the more I even hear myself talking about it, it sticks because there's no reason to take, average opportunities in the marketplace. There's no reason, like, and it's not the easiest thing to do, but knowing when to be aggressive, knowing when to pull back and, like, really wait for your opportunities. Like, if you're comparing that to poker, trading has a massive advantage to it for sure.
Just in terms of being able to sit on your hands and having that discipline, can you talk a little bit to the importance of having that as a trader?
Yeah, it's immensely important. And if there's a second thing that I'm working on for myself, it's that 100%. I have no problem being extremely aggressive when the time's right for myself. It's sitting back and recognizing when the stuff that you really like, that really works for you and has worked for a while, for XYZ reason isn't working in that moment, to pare it back and just relax. Because that's, I've actually tried to compare it a little bit to the atomic habit side of, small incremental progress every single day, where that can, like, work the other way too. Like, just taking one or two trades a day that you don't have to take, that you lose a little bit of money on, or it's wasting, like, valuable mental resources, like, during your trading day. You might do that once or twice a day and not think much of it, like, oh, I lost a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there. That stuff really adds up over the course of the year. And, like, this job's hard enough from a focus and mental capability standpoint for all day long, where you don't need to, not wasting your precious focus on something that just risk reward, it just doesn't set up and work for you. It's really important. So that is priority 1B for myself too, is sitting in my hands and having days where I might not trade, or I've never come close to that yet, but, like, or trade a lot less than you usually do. again, on a day-to-day basis, that day might not feel like you're you're hurting yourself too much, but you look at that exponentially over the course of a week, a month, and a year, and that stuff really, really adds up. So I think it's insanely important, and it's something that I've personally struggled with, and something that I'm definitely working on for myself.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's very helpful for traders to comprehend just, that traders who are really successful and have been doing this for a long time are still working on aspects of their trading, even, so many years into their career.
You have to, because like I said, things change so quickly in this business from a day to day, a week to week, month to month perspective. And if you're not willing to adapt and you're not willing to always look at yourself and see what you're doing, see what's working, see what's not working, and just evolve. And again, that's why like I think I mentioned being self-aware and being open-minded as being just like so damn important because you don't know why you're making the trades that you're making or why you're making them, and or you're stubborn and like this trade worked you for 3 years and now all of a sudden it's not working for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and you like refuse to let that go from yourself. Like you're kind of doomed. Like you need to be able to always be looking at yourself and what you're trading and how you're trading it, and and what's next for yourself.
How important is it for traders to have a trading network or a mentor, people that they can be open-minded with, and maybe those individuals help them be aware and become eventually self-aware? How important is it to have that network or a mentor?
I think it's huge, and I'll be honest. I think it's something that is lacking for myself a little bit currently. When I go back and I compare to, we talked about the prop firms and working with groups, and you're surrounded by just exponentially more successful and seasoned people than yourself and people to learn from. Like that's amazing. As long as you, again, open-minded and willing to learn and wanting to learn from those people. It's not the easiest thing to find when you have been working for yourself and working by yourself. And again, Lance does an amazing job of trying to put people in pods together and fixing on that. But if you know it's a huge priority, I think, for a lot of people to be able to find that. And it's something that, I definitely, from both ways, I would love to and love speaking to people who do might want to learn from me, because anytime that happens, it makes you introspective yourself. Like if you're answering questions about how you're trading or what you're doing, like you really have to take a hard look at yourself and if what you're doing is what you should be doing or where you can learn. And so it kind of works both ways. You don't have to be being mentored by somebody for you to also help learn from yourself. And then yeah, I would love to find somebody more seasoned than myself that I could sit down and help mentor myself as well too.
If you're looking for ways to improve your trading, Investors Underground might have something to offer. You'll have access to courses and mentors to learn from, some of the best technology available for scanning stocks and breaking news, and access to the chat rooms, where you'll find a vibrant community of focused traders who share their trade ideas in real time every day. You'll also have access to the morning broadcast, where Nate and IU moderators share their trade ideas during the pre-market session. You'll have access to the midday session with Stan, the midweek study session with Sam, webinars, moderator watch lists, and all the other resources that Investors Underground has to offer. Listeners of the podcast can access special deals at investorsunderground.com/YouTube. And now, back to our interview with veteran trader and the 2023 Traders4ACause Poker Champion, Jeremy Aguiar. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the things that stands out to me is that you're constantly looking for ways to become better and really, drive home that growth mindset. It definitely seems like you're, living an embodiment of that. So I think that's exceptional for people to hear.
Any longevity in this business and this career, like you need that. People can come in and make a quick buck here or there in the right market. Like that stuff can happen. But if you want to be in this business and be in it for a long time, I think you absolutely have to have that mentality for yourself.
Jeremy, if it's okay, I'd love to go through a lightning round set of questions, if that's okay. Quick
Yeah,
questions. And
definitely.
great. And So the first question that I have is, how important is it for traders to understand their trading niche, understanding where they do well, what setups they're great at, and to really hone in on that?
I think it's really important. Brett Steenbarger and Dr. Steenbarger in like all of his work, one thing I always took away that I loved was like amplify your strengths and work on your strengths. So the way you kind of said that about like what are your strengths or what are like your setups that like really work for you, like focus on that and put your focus towards that while also again being being adaptable to knowing when like that exact setup might be changing a little bit and just being malleable to the changes that might come through that. But like you don't have to be a master of everything. And I think it's especially somebody working for themselves, like find what works for you and put your energy and focus towards that and towards improving that while also being adaptable to how that trade that works very well for you like might evolve going forward.
What's the best piece of trading advice you've ever heard or ever been given?
I kind of just stole it there a little bit with Steenbarger's work. Like I had probably read every trading psychology book in the world, and his stuff just resonated with me on a way different level. So like in exact advice from there, it might be more of a mindset, but again, it's just focus on your strengths and amplify your strengths. Like so much of this work can be like, oh, don't do this anymore. Like keep yourself from doing this, and it's a little bit of like that like negative kind of limiting mindset towards what you're doing a bit. Where, hey man, like find what you're good at, and you really put your work and your effort towards just killing that and continuing to get better at those things. Like the stuff you don't do well is going to kind of naturally fall off by the wayside.
What would you consider to be your greatest strength as a trader?
I think it's my ability and willingness to be open minded and to adapt and to always be trying to learn and know that I don't know everything. Know that my success today is not guaranteed tomorrow, and just always put the work in to continue to evolve as a trader.
Do you believe there are any myths or misperceptions that exist about trading?
Yeah, probably that easy overnight money, which I did just say that so you can do that. That will happen in the right market, but to this isn't easy. Like if that could happen overnight, like having sustained success in this business is really hard and requires a lot of work. So yes, someone might have a great 6 months, have a great year off of running in the right market and doing so, but the actual longevity of this business is built off of hard work, 100%.
Is there anything that you do away from the trading desk that you believe is helpful to you as a trader and how you execute?
Yeah, I do think the meditation in the morning is really helpful. It helps me prepare for the day, and I've kind of turned that meditation into a little bit of a visualization experience as well too, where I know what my goals are. I know what I'm working on for that day, and kind of help myself walk through that. When XYZ happens, I'm going to react this way, and just kind of preparing for my day that way is super helpful. And then when the day's over, just like getting out of the house 100%. I usually go right to the gym. That's like an awesome, just kind of quick transition from your work day. Go let some energy out. Go get a good workout in, and then move on to your life outside of trading. Works very well for me.
If you could give one piece of trading advice to all new traders, what do you think it would be?
I feel like a broken record, but literally, it's to be open minded and to focus on yourself and your process and the more work you put in just towards improving on a daily basis, like you're gonna see the results.
And for those listening who would like to learn more about you, how you trade, or maybe even contact you, how can they do so?
Yeah, of course. My Twitter handle is it's J Aguiar Trades, so Jaguiar. I'm not super active on that because I don't think my style of trading is conducive to it, but it's a good place for anyone to reach out, and I would love to have a conversation with anyone who's interested in chatting.
Jeremy, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. It's great to see you again and to speak with you again, and I look forward to seeing you at one of the events later this year.
Yeah, same here, Anthony. You made that nice and painless for me. I appreciate it. It was good.
We hope you enjoyed this interview on the Investors Underground podcast. We have more great interviews that we believe you might also like, so don't forget to subscribe. You'll be notified of upcoming releases the moment they become available. Thanks for watching.